The Dutch dominated on home turf, time alloweds were uncharacteristically soft, and Harry Charles sparked a big debate online. This week's 5-star Showjumping was filled with highlights as the pressure mounts for those on the cusp of qualifying for the World Cup finals.
Hey guys, are you enjoying Horse Bytes? Make sure to subscribe to our channel. We work hard to bring you our 5 and 10, so if it's not too much bother, we'd love your support. Don't be shy, comment below and join the Horse Bytes community.
Another solid week of Showjumping with both the World Cup qualifier from Amsterdam and the first 5-star out of Doha. But before we get into the highlights, here are the main stories from the week. Making the biggest headlines, a recent social media post from British rider Harry Charles critiquing the use of vertical oxer 2-stride combinations in competition. After a dangerous fall where his horse left a stride early, Harry argues they should either be removed or greatly restricted. It brings up a valid discussion as to how sports evolve over time and where do we draw the line between catering to weaker training methods and risk-averse competitors versus genuinely making the sport safer. Across the pond in Amsterdam, Horse Bytes spoke with a few people about the topic.
For me, it's a shame if we lose too much variation in the sport. I'm not saying we should keep it. I don't have an opinion on it. I'm just saying there's something to say from both sides. The horse didn't do anything wrong. The rider didn't do anything wrong. The course designer also didn't do anything wrong, in the sense, in distance-wise or whatever. Everybody tried to help. Everything I think from what I've seen and heard about it. And if you throw the dice a million times, things happen.
Well, obviously I probably have a different opinion than most of them on that matters. I think we don't have enough of them. I don't like when something is no good that we just try to go away from it. Is it with the open water? Is it with the hard jumps, derby jumps, and now with the 2-stride? I don't think that the solution is just not having them anymore. We do a sport where we have danger. Sometimes the horse take off in front of a shadow, so we don't jump anymore when there are shadows, stuff like this. So I'm not the kind of person who likes to avoid problems, but keep on training and keep on doing by not having this problem, discussing about problems and how many meters should be at least, the shortest distance that you should be allowed to build.
The discussion certainly isn't over, but it does show a gap in our sport for safety analytics. If we could show the accident rate of this particular combination in comparison to others, the answer may not be so ambiguous. How do you think we should handle this? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Moving on. Gregory Wathelet is out with a broken collarbone after suffering a fall on Sherman de Vergers Z out in Thermal, California. He's currently sitting 4th on the Western European World Cup League, so he's already qualified, but we wish him a speedy recovery before the finals. Olympic champions Christian Kukuk and Checker 47 were victorious in the 4-star Grand Prix in Wellington. World number 1 Henrik von Eckermann won another ranking class on Glamour Girl. Joost Verlooy took the 4-star in Thermal on FTS Carrosserie Confusion. Peter de Vos and Jarina J won the Grand Prix in Amsterdam on Saturday night. And the FBI announced it will finally assign a panel to investigate the efficacy of airbag vests to decide whether they should become mandatory in all competitions. And lastly, a new rule took effect January 1st, prohibiting the shaving or trimming of hairs inside the horse's ears, similar to the muzzle restrictions that are already in place. First up for the weekend was the 5-star out of Doha. It was the 3rd week of the tour there, and Scott Brash and Hello Foley won the Grand Prix. The 10-year-old mare made her maiden meter 60 Grand Prix debut a memorable one, speeding through a super fast jump-off round, beating out Abdel Said and Bonami by over 2 full seconds. This was Brash's first big win in a long time, and it was nice to see him back on top at the 5-star level. It wasn't perhaps the toughest of 5-stars we've seen with a relatively weaker field, but the jumps looked big enough, especially in the very impressive arena at Al Shaqab. It's rarely a big crowd at the Qatari venue, but those who do attend tend to be rather enthusiastic, and you could hear the gasps as riders contended the course. 33 horse-rider combinations jumped the first round, and 33% made it into the jump-off. Quite a high percentage, demonstrating the rather easy level of the course and particularly loose time allowed, with 0 combinations receiving time penalties. The toughest parts of the course were the dark gray plank after a short 5 across the middle and the final combination at 12 A and B that caused heartbreak for Emanuele Gaudiano and the new partnership of the famous Iron Dames Dubai de Cedre and Jana Frederick Myers Zimmerman. Only 3 didn't complete the course, with Jennifer Hochstetter and Khaled Almoti both retiring, while Bjorn Kuertz got eliminated after Castlefield Apollo did not want to jump the skinny. In fact, it was that same skinny that caused trouble for Hochstetter as well. But the 11 who made it into the jump-off were quite a strong bunch. Abdel got the tiebreaker started on a very strong attempt, with Bonamy galloping across the huge arena, leaving strides out and stopping the clock in 45.24 seconds. It certainly put the pressure on, but overall, it wasn't the most competitive class. Duarte Seabre put in a solid effort to eventually finish in third on Dorados 2, but the day belonged to Scott Brash and the incredibly athletic, albeit difficult-looking Hello Foley. What a sporty athlete the Louis Dom mare is, but the connection to her mouth looked particularly difficult, as she could be seen rooting through the bridle and a bit fussy before the start. Their jump-off round was great, though, with precision turning, especially as he went wide to the wall so he could angle back right to left and get the best slice of the class on that inside turn. Edwina Tops Alexander, Nadia Peter Steiner, and Millie Allen all put in nice double clears, but the only real contender to try and steal the win away from Brash was last to go, Abdul Rahman Al-Raji and his fabulous gelding Ventago, the same horse he won the 5-star on in the major leagues, as well as his Olympic mount. They gave a super strong performance, almost catching Brash's time despite missing the inside turn after the wall. But with the last jump down, they'd have to settle for 7th place. In the end, it was a well-deserved win for Brash and Hello Foley, who I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of in the future. Now heading over to the Amsterdam leg of the Western European World Cup League, where we saw a spectacular display of Dutch horsemanship as Mark Houtzakker and his longtime partner of 10 years, Sterrenhof Dante, took the win in front of the home crowd 5 years after winning it together back in 2020. In fact, 4 of the 6 who made it through Quintin Maertens' tough track were all Dutch. And as the first 4 to master the track, it was looking like it might be a Dutch sweep until Irishmen Dennis Lynch and Vistogrand, as well as Max Kuhner and EIC Julius Caesar, rounded out the qualifiers. But the first round saw quite a bit of trouble. 20% of the class retired, with 8 riders electing to withdraw. And a third of the class had the number 9 oxer down after the triple, a very wide oxer on a bending 5-stride line. It was a course about stamina and strength, and number 9 really tested that from the horses as it rode a bit short, oxer to oxer, directly into the wall of the arena. In general, oxers were the hardest to jump, with the number 7 Liverpool, number 9, number 11 Hedge oxer, and the double of oxers combination at 13 AB that caused the most trouble. It was a long course with 14 numbered jumps, with a surprisingly loose time allowed, where only 1 rider acquired a time fault. Major highlights included a very strong field of horses and riders, but a mixed showing from the Dutch overall. 4 jumps clear in the first half, but not who you'd expect, as Michael van der Vleuten, Harry Smulders, Willem Greve, and Kim Emmen, who made an uncharacteristic rider error at the oxer away from the in-gate, all failed to jump clear. We saw a lot of older horses with no less than 3 age 16, 1 17-year-old, 1 an 18-year-old, and a 20-year-old horse. Martin Fuchs struggled again as he failed to collect any points and now sits 18th on the overall leaderboard, putting his finals participation in jeopardy. Peter Fredriksson had a strange thing happen when his foot knocked over the final fence around the turn on his approach to number 10, and after the jump crew were unable to repair it in time, the judges had to sound the buzzer as he waited to jump the last jump. He'd already had one down, so it didn't really matter so much, but it's still a strange thing to witness. And lastly, Dennis Lynch showed his consistency, jumping into 2nd place in the Grand Prix, as well as Sunday's World Cup with Vistogrand. He had an interesting take on jumping 2 nights in a row. Have a listen to his surprising approach.
Is your magic or your secret 2 days in a row competing like this?
Absolutely not. Actually, there's a plan behind that, believe it or not. So the World Cup finals is also 5 rounds, and I like to, I've done it with several of my good horses through the years, where we try early in the season to see where the consistency is over 5 rounds. And I proved that this weekend.
Overall, the class in Amsterdam was pretty entertaining, and with an educated and enthusiastic Dutch crowd and a strong performance from the locals, we got a good dose of sport. All in, I'd say we saw some different winners than we normally do, which was a welcome surprise as some veterans reclaimed their glory. The sport in Doha was a bit underwhelming despite a huge prize pot of 325,000 euros, earning it a 5.5 out of 10 on our rankings. While Amsterdam only offered 172,500 euros, keeping it at a 7.0 despite a super strong field of horses and riders. Well, that's a wrap on this week's top highlights, and stay tuned next week for the next North American League World Cup qualifier out of California at Thermal Desert Horse Park. Stay tuned to all of our socials. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and follow along all the action as it unfolds here on Horse Bytes. Your 5 and 10 5-star show jumping, all in just 10 minutes.